Welcome to Pretty Sure That's Not Right. Here, we answer the questions, we explore. We try to explain the complicated, but I'm pretty sure it's not right. Oh, it's a quaint little one-horse town. A what? A one-horse town? It's an old saying that suggests a town, often one's hometown, is incredibly small, while also suggesting there isn't much to do there. Nowadays, we're more likely to hear, my town only had one stoplight, or we didn't even have a McDonald's. But one horse town had its day. And where'd it come from? The answer might surprise you. But one thing is for sure. It's all Glenn's fault. Let's dig in. Oh, I mean that literally. Horses' primary function, when first domesticated by humans in the mid 1300s, was for digging fields, graves, buried treasure. There were even sociologists that theorized what is now the Grand Canyon was generated by Aztec-driven horses. Ironically, that theory was later debunked by renowned anthropologist Dale Clyde. But back to the history. In the mid-1300s, the majority of the landscape terrain in Ireland was rough, somewhat rocky, only slightly fertile. Desperate for a solution, the countrymen attempted to enlist the use of many types of animals, most notably fish. Salmon, specifically, are abundant in Ireland. With such excesses, farmers would trench very small ponds and crowd them with the little swimmers, the intent being to modify, hopefully favorably, the ecosystem of the topsoil. They would also simply toss the fish in very small and shallow holes to enrich the topsoil. Eventually, they experimented with horses. Now, at this period in history, horses had not developed the utility we understand them to have today. Horses were rare and lavish possessions of the supremely wealthy, thought of more as beautiful cows. Now, it became common to see divots scattered about the horse's fenced perimeter. They were quite eyesores, really. But the crafty Irish saw an opportunity. If guided by man, perhaps the horse would walk the field and with its powerful hind legs drive useful divots into the fields. The only problem? Only the rich have horses. The rich Irish of the 1300s were notorious for not sharing their stuff, particularly their horses. So at night, the farmers snuck the horses out and divoted the bejesus out of their fields. Seeing such an effective practice, they also began mating the horses at night, keeping and raising the foals. This became known as the horse population explosion of 1368. As the horse population grew, so did their use: riding, pulling plows, jousting duels. And accordingly, the middle class grew, which threatened the wealthy and threatened the monarchy. The Irish king needed a solution. He turned to his right-hand man. This man's name? Glenn. It's Glenn. It's all Glenn's fault. See, at the time, Ireland was primarily comprised of dozens and dozens of very, very small towns, villages, if I may. Glenn advised the king to decree no town may have more than one horse, the intent being to artificially reduce the number of horses in Ireland and returning the posh value to the rich. And Glenn was ruthless. The decree resulted in tens of thousands of imprisoned Irishmen. One horse per town. The decree was honored by the king's successors, And as the country entered the Industrial Revolution, the notion of prohibiting a second horse per town became a relic of the past. But, due to the deeply rooted understanding of the tradition, the concept of a one-horse town became a standard by which federal resources were distributed amongst the towns. Towns with no horses would receive no resources. Towns with one horse would receive a small share. Towns with 5 horses even more, and so on. Potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. And then immigration to the United States, and the term one-horse town became a pejorative for a small town. The term saw another brief boom in its use with the advent of the internal combustion engine. One-horse town now also reflected a commentary on the obsolete technology a small town was now dependent upon. Interestingly, a comprehensive survey found 0 U.S. cities within their city limits had only one horse. This, according to a 2012 study conducted by the United States Department of Horse. So why do we say a one-horse town? Why indeed? Well, a little bit of tradition and a lot of bit of Glen. And there it is, one-horse town. Oh, we had some fun. I hope you learned something. But remember, I'm pretty sure that's not right.